So if you place an importance on making $1 billion, you will be unhappy until you hit that outcome. If you place importance on drinking water, then you will be happy because you've now put importance on that specific thing. And that's why you can see people that can go out there and water their grass. Ignorance is bliss. They don't even think that they're underperforming. They're doing exactly what they set out to do, and they're so freaking excited about it. One of the biggest things that helped me was that I stopped thinking that all of my shortcomings is what disqualified me from helping the people, but it was actually what qualified me to reach them.
Welcome home, Firestarters. This is Sanyika. 90% of entrepreneurs will never make six figures. That is 3 numbers, comma, 3 more numbers. Right? That can be as much as all the way up to 999,000. But what happens when you hit 2 commas? Russell Brunson gives out an award to entrepreneurs that reach 2 commas. They call it the 2 Comma Club. It's a ClickFunnels award for individuals that are able to generate $1 million plus using a single landing page and generating that through ClickFunnels. That being said, Nicholas Bayerle is a part of the 2 Comma Club. And he is a powerful entrepreneur. He is the founder of the Billion Dollar Brotherhood. And he is just a fabulous leader and man. Like just a fabulous, fantastic, profound human being. And I am excited for you to get a chance to experience his energy, his zest for life, his zest for manhood, and also his zest for helping men to step into greater levels of success so that they can live the lifestyle that they have always dreamed of living. Please enjoy this next episode of the All In CEO podcast featuring Nicholas Bayerle. First of all, dude, what is up? I'm glad to see you. I always appreciate, guys who keep a clean quaff. So much respect. Glad to have on the All In CEO, Senior Mr. Nicholas Bayerle. How you doing, my brother?
I'm doing great, man. Well, first off, I appreciate it. I could see my father-in-law. He got a perm when he was 22, I believe, and ever since then lost all of his hair. Like he says that the perm is what lost it. So he's perfectly shaved. He's very tan as well. He's like very Italian. It's my father-in-law, and he looks great. But I would look terrible if I was bald. So I'm so glad that I got the hair. But he's always like, same thing, clean shaven. So I try to put respect because I know he's like, man, if I had hair, I'd take care of it. There's many people out there that don't. But I have to give thanks to a lot of friends that called me out for not taking care of myself. Which I think is a really good thing with friends. Oftentimes we let our friends, get out of shape. We were talking earlier about different people's posts, and man, one of my stories today on Instagram, I was like, one of the most sad things that I see is when there's different business owners, which I love the name of the show, like All In. So good because you have to be, and leadership isn't about you dominating as a CEO, bro. I didn't pay myself for 3 years inside of my first company. 3 years. Right. I like that's not dominating or dominion over people, because leadership is service. I went all in on a company and got paid nothing for years to become a leader that then now gets to employ people and impact people. But people look at leadership as someone who's over people when it's really people that are actually lifting people up, which is absolutely insane. But on the story, I see CEOs or owners or business owners and fathers and all these people out there that I see on social that are killing it in their business. Like they're saying, oh my gosh, look who I'm with. Look what I'm doing. Look at the progress that I'm making, which again is absolutely phenomenal. If you're going to do business or if you're going to work 40 hours a week, you might as well produce something. You might as well make money while you do it. You're working anyway. So don't get mad at the guy who's producing. If I see him in person and they're out of shape, they got more out of shape in that season. Maybe their wives maybe DM me, not personally like that. Like, right. Hey, my husband's like, he's not showing up the way I want to. What can we do? I run a men's company. So they message. I'm like, man, like, is that success? Why are they so pumped to be on social media? And I've done all the same crap, dude. I was 60 pounds heavier, didn't have a girlfriend for years until I got married to my wife. And even when I got married, I couldn't provide for her. Like the 3 years of not making money in the business, there was also years before that I was cleaning carpets for my father, making 19, 20 grand a year. Like I understand the situations, yet we have an obligation as men to prosper in the areas that we cannot outsource. And I believe that, man, success in one area doesn't forfeit. It doesn't cover this other area that you can't outsource. You want to work and make money and celebrate, bro. 11 months ago, I told you a friend called me out. His name's Kevin Stimson, so thank you. And he goes, bro, you're getting fat. He would say, he called me, he said I had a dad bod, and he said that that's not calling someone fat. Bro, you call someone and say that they have a dad bod, that is not saying that they're in shape, okay? And I realized again that I was failing in my life. I was failing in an area that I teach and hold people to a standard. The thing is you can't hold people to a standard that you don't hold yourself to. And I decided, man, I'm getting off the social media. I'm not going to post about going to the gym. I was at this point where I was like, I know I should go to the gym because I know that other people should go to the gym. So I'd sit there in my house and I'd be like, I don't want to go to the gym today. And I'd be like, but I'm going to decide to, right? Everyone makes these posts. I'm going to decide to go to the gym because it's not about my feelings. So I'd go to the gym and I'd be like, oh, what a great post. Let me write that. And I'd start writing about it because I'm like, well, this is what I teach in my business. I'm in the gym today, even though I didn't feel like it. Well, guess what? I'm writing it while I'm at the gym. So I'm like 10 minutes in between my set. I leave there. I don't even get a good workout. And I also don't post about the fact that I missed 4 days in a row before it because I did fall into this victim mentality of I don't really feel like doing it. And I was like, bro, I'm literally just doing things because I want to teach people to do something that I'm really not doing. And it was really, really crappy. And so I got off the social. And for those guys, get off the social. Like you can grow your company without sitting there talking about things that you want to do. Talk about what you have done. And that was my shift, was like, I'm going to document what I am doing. So I'm not going to say, oh, look at this lesson I learned. I'm going to be like, yo, I just got done with my bike ride. Why? Because it's already done. Like talking about it isn't going to forfeit my bike ride. I already finished it. So I'll talk about what I've accomplished and I'll post about things that I'm actually doing, documenting rather than creating content, which I think Gary Vee talks about that. Never really got it. He's like, just document, don't create content. And I was like, okay. And then now I realize I'm like, oh, wow, what if I just show what I'm doing and not just talk about things? So now I've like, need to get a tattoo on my body. I don't have a tattoo yet. So this might be my first one. Don't think about it, be about it. I was just like, don't talk about it, be about it. Don't know about it, go about it. Right? Like we all hear people that can talk the talk but don't walk the walk. And I was just like, bro, this is me. I'm talking the talk. I'm not walking the walk. So I'm not calling anyone else out. I called myself out 11 months ago and now continue to. I'm on my bike ride today in 104-degree heat and I'm calling myself out. I'm going up the hill and I'm like, man, I'm not the father that I could be. I'm not the husband that I could be. I'm not the leader that I could be. Let this ride refine me and let me go back as a different person, making a better choice today and continue to do so. So thank you for creating a place where we can reach other people to have those same revelations.
That is, dude, that's super fantastic, man. I love it. I love it. Can you just like give everybody like a snapshot of like this, of like where you came from and sort of like where you're at? But I wanted to use this as the pretext to it.
Well, let's look at fruit, right? Because I think that's the biggest thing to really look at. Because if being addicted to outcomes created great fruit, like meaning outcomes, then I would say do that. It's not about like, oh, what's like the kosher thing to do or what's the smart thing to do. Really, at the end of the day, we're like, we want to grow a business. We want to be healthy. We want to have great families. We want to feel accomplished as men, that we are waking up and we don't feel like there's anything in the back of our mind that we're not performing at. And if going after the outcome did that, I would say do it. So let's look at some of the fruit and the scenarios. So 60 pounds. Someone goes into the gym and they say, I want to lose 60 pounds. Do we need that? Yes, because we need an outcome or a goal. Because we know that if we don't have something that we're going towards and understanding, then we're not going to see the resources available to be able to get there. Mm-hmm. Like if you don't look for, you ever play the punch buggy slug bug game? If you're not looking for these VW bugs, which I don't even know if I could find them now, but I guarantee if I play that game, I'll find them. I'd find like 17 on the way home. And so there's levels to it though, because let's say you look for Lamborghinis. Well, if you're in the middle of nowhere, you're probably not going to see a Lamborghini. But if there is one, you will find it. Even if there's a toy, even if there's a picture, you'll find it because you're looking for it. Now you go to Rodeo Drive, that's where what you're looking for, an opportunity, comes together. You'll see Lamborghinis everywhere. They're more common than a Honda Civic there. It's insane. So first we need the outcome. That's step number one, right? Always we need outcome. And I learned this from one of my friends, James Friel, great friend. He lives right down the street from me. And he actually hired a professional baseball coach to come to his house. And one of the first things that he taught him that became his personal coach was, again, to get away from outcome and focus on process. The human brain actually physically doesn't know the difference between making $1 billion and drinking water when it comes to gratification. It is whatever you place importance on. So if you place an importance on making $1 billion, you will be unhappy until you hit that outcome. If you place importance on drinking water, then you will be happy because you've now put importance on that specific thing. And that's why you can see people that can go out there and water their grass. Ignorance is bliss. They don't even think that they're underperforming. They're doing exactly what they set out to do, and they're so freaking excited about it. So let's think about the outcome. You need outcome because if I go into the gym and I don't know what I'm trying to accomplish, I cannot set up process. Right? Hopefully that makes sense for everyone.
For sure.
If we don't know what our goal is, if I want to be a CrossFit athlete, a basketball player, a baseball player, or if I want to grow an 8-figure, 9-figure, 10-figure, whatever company, I have to figure out what size I want to create because I don't know what process to create if I don't know what my outcome is. But think about how irrelevant outcome really is. I go and I say, I want to lose 60 pounds. If I don't know how to do it, I'd probably go to an expert who does know how to do it so that I don't have to go to school and figure out how to lose 60 pounds. So I go to an expert and I would say, I want to lose 60 pounds. Now imagine I go to the gym every day and I go, lose 60 pounds, lose 60 pounds. I'm all pumped about it. I'm banging my chest. I'm like, I want to lose 60 pounds so bad. My desire is so high. Like I can taste it. I can see it, but I don't know what to do. So I leave the gym and I don't see any results. And I'm upset because I'm checking the scale every single day, wondering why my desire is not creating any outcome. And that's because I haven't created a process. So let's say I now go to the gym. I say, I want to lose 60 pounds. And an expert there says, all right, well, let's commit you to working out 3-4 days a week, eating these types of food. Can you commit to this? Well, then I leave there. Imagine you're not excited. You're not even thinking about it anymore, but you just follow the process. Process and the action on the process, more specifically, creates outcomes. Now, it may not be the outcome that you want. Maybe 2 weeks later, you go back and you've lost 2 pounds, but you wanted to lose 10. Now, all we do is we look at how close we've come to our outcome and we reassess the process and the results that we've gotten from the process. We now shift the process because it's actually the actions that we take in the process that create results. Yet, how can we create daily happiness out of that? This is such a big revelation for me. It's because I'd go there and I'd be like, I want to lose 60 pounds or I want to create this company or whatever it is. And I'd be so fixated on it. Dude, I ran like 60 events, 1-day events, not profitably, but I used to cry, dude, because I would work so hard. Work, meaning like I wanted it so bad, but I wasn't putting in the effort and the actual daily actions to create the results. I was like, how can I not get these results when I want it more than all these people? Like I'm so much more passionate about it, but they're following a correct process and I wasn't. I wasn't using the outcome that I wanted to create a process that I could then check in with daily, morning and night, weekly, monthly, quarterly. A book like Scaling Up would show something like that. How can we track what things got done today, what things didn't get done today, what are the outcomes of the things that got done today, how close are we to hitting our goals based on our critical numbers that we have, based on our KPIs. And so I think that just to simplify it all is like, if I go into lose 60 pounds and I'm like so pumped, I'm running around the gym, beating my chest, awesome. But it's ultimately the things that I do that's going to help me lose the weight. So I could take the importance off the outcome of 60 pounds because when are you going to be happy? For the one day that you finally hit 60 pounds. And if you're an entrepreneur and you've noticed anything in your life, when you hit a goal, it's really, really cool for like a few hours, or you can try to savor it. You can try to savor it for like a little bit of time, right? If you look at someone like Tony Robbins, who has a lot of fruit, he says that that process equals happiness, right? It's like the growth is what equals happiness. It's not the outcome that equals happiness. Progress, growth, progress equals happiness. And so when I take that, I look at people that have gone before us and go, okay, well, outcomes produce very little happiness. I'd rather not beat my head against the wall being unhappy the entire time until I hit the goal, because that also doesn't produce a lot of great effort in the process. I'd rather set the goal, million, 60 pounds, etc., get a path that I could check in with daily, weekly, monthly to see if I'm making progress. And then I could just focus on the daily action items. And I just did this with a client of mine. I run events to get our message out there for the Brotherhood. And I have a client of mine in the Brotherhood who's getting his message out through running an event. He was selling 100 tickets to the event. He was super overwhelmed. Why? Because he's just thinking sell 100 tickets.
Mm-hmm.
Now, people that have ever ran an event before, it doesn't matter if you have a big following, little following, selling tickets to an event is still crazy. So this guy is one of the hosts his first event, 100 tickets, and he's got like 15 sold. I'm like, bro, I know exactly what that's like. Let's take a step back and let's look at how many tickets do we need to sell per day leading up to the event. It was 4. It's like, okay, well, can you sell 4 tickets in a day? It's like, oh, I think I could do that. I'm like, cool. What process would we have to put in place to sell 4 a day? Now forget about the 4, forget about the 100, and just do the process. And now all of a sudden your happiness is coming from the actions that you're doing, not the outcomes that you're creating, because those actions create outcomes. So every day he's thinking he's like a boss, right? He's like, bro, I've hit my 20 messages today. I've done my 4 calls. And now like you think about the health journey. When I went on this 11 months ago health journey, just to put a full circle to it. And again, I had lost 60 pounds before. I created a health business. That was my first business. And then in creating the Brotherhood and having some injuries and allowing all these like excuses to come in of why I could still walk even if my neck was so injured, but I wasn't walking because I was discouraged. I was like, man, if I can't lift, it's not even worth doing anything. And so in this health journey, the first thing I did was Andy Frisella's 75 hard. It was like my first day back. I was like, I'm doing this.
Mm-hmm.
And what's so crazy about it is you realize really quickly that you take the emphasis off of losing the weight and getting fit, which is outcome, like you had said, and you put the emphasis on, I'm crushing it today because I drank water, read 10 pages, worked out outside for 45 minutes, worked out inside for 45 minutes, etc., and not have any cheat meals, alcohol, and all that. And so every day you're feeling like you're a boss because your importance has been put on small daily activities that one day you wake up 75 days later and you're freaking fit. Mm-hmm. And that's when I stopped caring about the outcome as much. And I started really caring about the actions, because that's what creates the outcomes. How do I create the actions? By having the outcome in mind first. So if you want to be bulky, you got to lift weights. Simple as that.
Up you got to down.
If you want a big booty and big thighs, you got to do the sprints. You can't be running the marathons.
Well, look, I will say one thing to that real quick. So I just wanted to speak to that, because that it's transformative kind of stuff, like you were talking about 75 hour.
And that's why it's important to have people like you in people's lives, where if they don't know how to get these outcomes, right? People will go to the gym and they think, well, if I think about how many people go to the gym for 40 years and they look the same.
Dude, time out.
They're every day. They're there every day at 5 a.m. I see them. I'm like, bro, you look the exact same.
Dude, because these are the same dudes that show up in some of they knock on your door because they want to be a part of of your programs, and my program at the same rate. Kevin Stimson, shout out to Kevin fucking Stimson. Because here's the thing. Like when you provide feedback to somebody who's not going anywhere, it's like, well, what am I supposed to do with this? I don't give a shit about my life.
And they never said that they want to be fit or build a business. So they're like, right. Why are you telling me I should be fit? Like, but as soon as they give you that permission, watch out,
Exactly.
Running a men's community, you get guys that they get fired up and then they start trying to tell everyone else what to do. And one of the things is keeping people in account for their ability. So you see that they have the ability. You don't see a disability. A lot of people think accountability is calling people out on their disabilities. You suck. You're no good. This is why guys avoid men's communities. They think that guys they're gonna be the high school coach that was a dick to them for no reason, right?
Mhm.
And so it's keeping people in account for their abilities. You see the greatness, like you had said, and also keeping people accountable to things that they said. So I have this quote that some of my family members absolutely hate, and it's always whenever they have something going on, if they don't want help, I always say, do whatever you want to do. It isn't going to change my life. I always say
Mm.
this for myself.
Oh,
Do whatever you want to do. It ain't going to change my life.
do whatever you want to
Because
do. It ain't gonna change my life. Okay.
yeah, and I say this only because for me it's very easy to take on the burdens and problems of others when they don't really want it to be solved. So if I'm eating super healthy and they're not, it's very easy for me to be like, "Ah, I want to keep them accountable. I want to say something to them because I'm like even though they haven't asked for my help, they haven't asked for permission. So I usually will ask for permission. Even in a sales conversation, I'll say, "Hey, like is it okay if I'm truthful with you, not just nice to you?" A great quote from my friend Nicholas Elliott, one of the top salespeople in the world. He's like, I steal it. I'm like, is it cool if I'm truthful with you, not just nice to you? Because as soon as they do, I can then be truthful. But what's the point of me being truthful if they didn't ask for it? They didn't give me permission. And same thing. So I always let people know if they're like, well, yeah, I don't know if I want to do that diet. I go, hey, no problem. Ain't going to change my life. Because again, I'm trying to keep my boundary of, hey, whether they do it or not isn't going to change my belief, my situation. I got to continue to do my own thing. And it's when people come to me and say, hey, I want to eat better, or, hey, I need some help in this area. This is my goal. I want you to speak into this. I think this is really big. So that if anyone's fired up now and they're like, oh, I want to keep people accountable, bro, if they didn't say anything to you, you have nothing to keep them accountable to do. And also looking at the fact that there's a lot of people out there that will be more influenced by what you do than what you say. And that was the second thing that I saw. I was like, man, if I just do it, right? I was leading this community where we reach like 1 to 2 million guys a year right now, depending on the year, and trending upwards. And so instead of reaching those guys, I was like trying to talk to them about how they should be healthy, how they should care about their wives, how they should care about their kids, how they should run their business, how they should sell things, how they should market. And I realized that the most powerful thing that I can do is just do those things.
Boom.
Like that is the message, right? I said the most powerful message that you can speak or that you can communicate is not just the words that you say, it's the actions that you take.
Up and down. It is very much that is the embodiment practice of a period. And I just want to say this real quick. They see like my brand and I'm like, look, I fight through this shit, right? I'm literally that dude who used to be a warrior, and I'm the dude you want to go into battle with, period. I kept the warrior and the lover separate. So I just wanted to get your perspective on the impact of those movements in terms of the person that you created and what you're developing at the same rate.
Yeah, totally. So one of my mentors and friends now is Russell Brunson, and I was in his inner circle for just over 3 years. I know Garrett was a part of it at one point as well, spoken to a lot of the events. And when I created Billion Dollar Brotherhood, it really was just like taking my issues. Like I didn't know about Garrett or Sean or actually any other movement. I went to one event and I tried to connect by myself, but like a whole different event that wasn't affiliated with any of them. I went to this event. It was a men's event. It's 1,400 guys, huge, sick, epic. I didn't want to be there, but it ended up being amazing. All the guys I connected with, I felt like I built brotherhood with. And I was so pumped because my vision was to create that. I had a health company that was working with men that own businesses because I thought that the only thing you could sell is what you knew. So I was like, I've lost 60 pounds. I can help men. That my dad owned a business. I saw how that affected him. I was running a business. I saw how my confidence was affected by getting fit. I was like, I can totally do this. I didn't know I could bring in other experts, which is a lot of what I've done over the last 7 years. I brought in like 450 experts into my community over the last couple of years. And so I didn't think I was qualified to run a men's community because I was like, I've only been married for 3 years. I've never even built a business that's even substantial. Like at this point in 2015 to 16, I did like $67,000 in revenue. Like I had nothing to teach anyone. And so I go to this event. And at the end of it, I was like, I'm going to build a Facebook group. I'm going to get all these guys together. We're going to go to lunch. We're going to run together. We're going to be brothers. and all of them complained about like food costs. Like, oh man, lunch is so expensive. They didn't believe that the investment in food was worth the community that they were building. And I was like, there has to be, out of 1,400 guys, there has to be guys here that actually want this. So I was like, I'm going to go build it. And I went and built the Brotherhood out of all my clients. I started running the events. I started having people invest. I was like, hey, all these people are here at our events. We have a $15,000 package if you want to be a part of a 12-month program where we all run together. Because I was like, I would have bought that at this other men's event to get through the 1,300 guys that are just BSers that are going to complain about lunch price, to get to the 100 that actually wanted to build something in their life, the true ones. And so I ended up building it. And so I think looking at what Garrett and Sean and all these guys have built now is like, I think it's awesome because each person has a conviction of their experience that they're telling people, hey, I had this experience. This is what my life was like. You said that you were from the streets. I wasn't from the streets. My wife grew up and is like, her parents are about to renew their 30-year wedding anniversary, right? Like my parents split up when I was 4. They weren't even married, So it's like, well, each one of those stories and circumstances are going to reach and impact people that are totally different. Your story is going to impact people that are different. The way that you're coming to the same conclusions, you can tell a lot of the things that we're talking about, you're like, yes. And everything you're saying, I'm like, yeah, like that's totally it. And how we came to those conclusions are completely different through different circumstances. And your story, my wife's story, Garrett's story, Sean's story. I don't know Garrett well, but I know Sean really well. He spoke at a bunch of our events. And each one of those stories are going to speak to different types of people and get them to the same style process. So I think it's awesome. Even in my community, I have guys that come in, they get impacted by what I do, and they want to quit everything and create their own men's community. They come to me and they go, how can I create a branch of the Brotherhood? And I'm like, I'm not interested in that. Last thing I need is someone to do it wrong underneath my umbrella. And I get all the hate for it, So I'm like, right. But I'll support it. I'm like, bro, they're all scared. They're like, Nicholas is going to sue me, hate me if I take everything he teaches and teach it. I'm like, no, that's not what abundance is like at all. I would love for you to go out there and tell your experience, teach the things that actually work, because you're going to reach people that I can't reach. Mm-hmm. Not to mention that we're all a drop in the bucket of the total market cap for men that want to invest in transformation. If someone's not doing $1 billion a year, like they're not even hitting a small percentage of what's possible. So it doesn't really answer the question, because I really tried not to be influenced by anyone.
For sure.
Like now I try to learn from as much as possible. But at first, the last thing I wanted was to consume somewhat other guys' content and then go say the same thing. I might as well go work for them. Well, like if I'm going to do that, I might as well go work for that company. One gift, this is way late to even say it, but based on what you're saying, so I think one of the biggest things, like you said, with coaches, there's like the majority of coaches, I think there's over 67% of coaches make less than $2,000 a month.
For sure.
Which means that they ain't helping anyone, is like right. Really what it comes out to. And I for 3 years, I really struggled to sell my own product because I saw all the flaws. I saw that it wasn't perfect. I saw that it didn't have the right PDF, and it wasn't like, didn't have a cool logo, and all that stuff really was like, made me feel super uncomfortable. And so I really believe that one of the biggest things that helped me was that I stopped thinking that all of my shortcomings is what disqualified me from helping the people, but it was actually what qualified me to reach them. So when I was 60 pounds overweight and I lost the weight, I was super embarrassed to tell people that I was overweight, that I struggled to lose it, that I gained it back, because I thought that that would disqualify me from being able to help them, not knowing that it's actually the fact that I went through that allowed me to relate to them in a way where they didn't just look at me. There's 2 reasons why people will follow and buy from you, especially as a coach. Number 1 is that they want to be like you. Great. That's what everyone's flexing. This is why most coaches fail, is because they show all the great stuff. Look at all the things that I've done now. So they like it. It's like watching a movie. You see Superman. Superman's amazing because you're like, I want to freaking flip cars and fly like the speed of a bullet. But actually what makes you connect with him is all the areas where, 1, kryptonite, but 2, the love for the family. The fact that he can't control things, the fact that he feels loss. And that's the second phase, which is that you're just like them. And when you don't show the shortcomings, That's where it fails. So actually, for anyone who wants it, you can cut it out if you want. But I actually created this just yesterday, and it's for something else I'm doing. They can use it on themselves, but on others as well. It's at nicholasbayerle.com/script. I created the actual script that we use to close over $2.5 million in 4.5 hours for our company, and it's the same script that I use to talk to myself. And I put a training in with it as well. It's all free. It's not even name and email. It's just email. And legitimately, for any coaches out there, it helps. How can I step back in a place where it's like, I'm going to talk about my shortcoming? I also have a YouTube video of mess to message. How can I share my shortcoming? Not because it disqualifies me, because it actually qualifies people to connect with me and say, hey, you're just like me and you did this. I feel like I can do it too because you were brave enough to tell me about how you had shortcomings. So I literally for 2.5 years talked about, hey, you need micronutrients, macronutrients, and even with the Brotherhood, I've done it wrong so many times. Instead of being like, hey, I was 60 pounds overweight because me and my father had a falling out and I had tons of anxiety with my parents being separated. I didn't talk to my dad for 3.5 years, locked myself in a house and played 400 days played of a video game and gained 60 pounds. And was super ashamed of it, so I didn't connect with my father. I wore a sweatshirt every single day, taped down my nipples with Scotch tape because I was so afraid to show my man boobs. And people are like, dude, this guy's jacked up. But like, they've all thought about it too. I'm like, you haven't put on a sweatshirt because you're freaking feeling fat? I'm like, I used to wear my boxers, the same pair, over my lump of fat on my stomach, just to try to suck it in a little bit. Same pair of pants every single day. I used to actually put my heels on the back of my shoes when I took pictures because I wanted to appear taller. Now guys still invest in those little riser shoe things to make them look taller. I've seen them. I'm like, but I'm like, everyone's been through it. So when I speak it, what happens? All these guys look at and they connect with it because no one else is saying it, but everyone's thinking it. Then I get to say, and what I found is things that I was able to do to lose the weight, feel confident, get in the gym. I talk about how I was too afraid to go into the gym. For 2 years, I lost weight with never stepping foot in a gym because I was so embarrassed that I was out of shape. Like I didn't know how to lift things. And so I was like, but how am I supposed to get in shape if I don't lift anything? Now I know that I can do push-ups and dips because of an expert like you. But at the time, I didn't know that. And so people related to that. And I was getting people to invest $6,000, $12,000 through using this script, nicholasbayerle.com/script. Same script, same questions. I was getting people to invest $6,000, $12,000 to a kid that was 140 pounds. That if I went to a gym in Venice Beach, they would say, "Is this your first time working out?" Like that's what they would say to me. But all of them were paying me, and they were skipping the guy who was IFBB pro 10 times with a trophy because they're like, "That's awesome," but I can't relate to that because I know that I can't do that. I can't. They can't relate.
So here's the thing. I'm 6'8". What's your height?
Holy freaking crap, dude. I'm 5'7".
So here's the thing. I still relate to you though. You know, please share with people where they can find you at.
Yeah, appreciate it. So nicholasbayerle.com/script. Maybe we could throw it earlier as well so that people that maybe didn't make it all the way to the very end, I didn't even think about it. But I thought it'd be super powerful just because it's questions that they can ask with the training that's all for free, that they can walk through with people. So that if they are someone that has a message or a product that they're trying to get out there, but they're struggling with telling people, they're trying to tell people, you need to lose weight, you need to do it this way. It's the worst thing because they don't believe what you believe. And if they already believe it, they probably don't need to buy it.
Right.
So you're talking to people that don't believe in what you have, or else they would have already bought it. So stop telling them to believe something that they don't believe. That's like telling them you need to become a Christian. Jesus is Lord of your life. Go repent, blah, blah, blah. Everyone's like, no thanks. But the Christians are like, oh yeah, I believe that. Well, you can't convert a Christian. The Christian's already been converted. So what's the point? We're doing the same things with our product or service. I want them to come to the same conclusion that I did without having to go through the problems that I went through. And you do that with the correct script. nicholasbayerle.com/script. And then also, I wrote a book called Modern Day Businessman. And I always have a few physical copies that for people that follow me on Instagram, Nicholas Bayerle, and just send me a message of their address, I'll pay for the shipping. I'll pay for the book. Like all I need is an address. I don't even put it into a database. I just literally do it just so that someone could actually ship out a book. And that way they get it for free as well. And I always have a few on me everywhere I go to make sure I can ship them out.
I love it, man. Thank you for being you, man.
Thanks, man.
For sure. Please,
Appreciate you having me.
and I will catch y'all in the next episode of the All In CEO. Firestarter out. Fuego.